Joining us in the Soul to Soul virtual studio today is Daniela Birch. Thank you so much for coming in today, Danielle.
That's not a problem at all, Steve. Thanks for having me.
Danielle is an international medium and she's a healer and soon to be author. So I want to get to the book in a moment, but let's start a bit with your background. How did you get into being an international medium in the first place?
Thanks, Steve. So basically, I, at a very young age, knew that I was very sensitive and different, and it wasn't until I went and saw a lady who does spirit guide drawings, and she basically passed on these messages from my spirit guides and said that you were highly telepathic and very different to a lot of people. And I was fascinated by that, and I decided then to just open that up a little bit more and started to go to psychic circles, and then really looked back at my childhood at the same time and saw that I could interact with, spirits, and saw a lot of things and felt a lot of things, and it made me very sensitive.
Had you been aware of an interest in that regard before this reading, or did this just awaken a lot of stuff for you?
It was really an awakening for me. I was very sensitive as a child, and I did feel that I was different to other people, especially at school, for example, and they used to call me a weirdo and all kinds of names. So I did get this sense that there was something about me where I didn't feel I conformed and was, like my other classmates and peers. Yeah.
So you went into the circle and you started developing your skills there.
Yes.
What took you from the interest in developing the skills into actually practicing that professionally?
Sure. So I was very much a natural when I started these meditation circles, and my teacher just really encouraged me to start doing readings, and at first it was really confronting. And the more sort of confidence I got in myself, the more I saw that, well, yes, I've done this many lifetimes as well, and it was very much a part of me. And so I started that journey probably from the age of 25. I started charging people, and as I sort of went along, I saw that I really had people come to me with mainly relationship problems and sexual abuse and traumas, and they're pretty much my clients today.
I was about to say, because you've really specialised a bit now in the relationship area.
That's right.
And this happened naturally, it just occurred that way.
Yeah, I was just really identifying with the clients what their needs were, and I believe that we all have specific gifts as a psychic and a healer, and I really want to market myself as that soulmate specialist, because I saw that the people coming to me were just holding a lot of pain with their relationships and just really needing some clarity on that. And around that sort of timeline, when I did a course, which was a 4-year course in healing, I sort of saw that I had a lot to do with what's called the Akashic Records, and your Akashic Records are pretty much every single experience that your soul has ever had from the beginning of time. And I was able to tune into people's past lives with their soulmates in their relationships and see what was going on, what traumas they were holding.
And do you find quite often people do bring traumas across from other lives to be acted out or sorted out in this life?
Yes, that's really what's going on. So what we do is we decide who we're going to have in this lifetime prior to coming here, and a lot of these people are from our soul group, and we have 144 members of our soul family, and 72 stay back home and 72 incarnate all over the world. And so we really do choose those same people that we have had many lifetimes with, because they're very familiar to us. So
now I'm guessing this is where the healing side of what you do comes in, because obviously identifying all this information is part one. Part two is to sort it out, to deal with it, to heal it.
That's right.
So what sort of things do you do as a healer to help people on these levels?
Okay, so Steve, I work a lot with people's soul contracts. So what a soul contract is, it's a vow or a declaration that you've agreed to on a subconscious level, which is usually, made before we come here. And so I can look at the soul contracts that you have with anyone on earth. So it might not necessarily just be your partner. It may be a friend, it can be a relative, pretty much anyone. Might be a business partner. And I can just sort of see what dynamics are playing out in that particular relationship, and then be able to heal it in whatever way that we can. So if it's causing a lot of trauma, we're in a situation that may be abusive, for example, I can look at what you're actually learning from that person. And that could be, I'm learning to empower myself, which is a really, really common one. So that's a lot of what I do. I also just work a lot with helping couples, especially seeing that relationship is coming up for expiry. So especially if it's what we call a karmic soulmate. A karmic soulmate, someone, as we identified before, when we come here, we have certain lessons that we are still playing out from those other lifetimes. So it's a little bit like a Groundhog Day experience, Steve.
Right,
Do you know what I mean by that?
Now, we've talked about this on this show before, but I'd like to get your angle on this.
Sure.
The difference between a soulmate and a twin flame.
Okay, well, there's a pretty big difference here. So with a soulmate, it's usually really easy. So it flows. They're your best friend in the whole world. And usually if there's a conflict, you can sort it out pretty quickly. So a lot of people who have their soulmate in their lives, it feels like you've known them forever and you do anything for that person, and they tend to stay with that person for quite a long time. Because it's just easy. And some people just want that sort of relationship when they come here. They want a balanced, secure, flowing, harmonious relationship.
Especially if their challenges lie in other areas like career or whatever,
That's right. And they're just really there to support that other person, and they're not belittling them or putting them down. It's very much that equilibrium in the relationship. That's what I see a lot with just a normal soulmate. However, with the twin flame, as you would know, Steve, it can be a very tumultuous time. And personally, I don't see a lot of people on earth who have a twin flame relationship because they're just not able to hold that. Because what actually happens is it really brings out your unresolved wounding, doesn't it, Steve? You know all about that.
Because the twin brings out those elements of you that you haven't faced yourself, So
that's right.
It's like the yin yang, you really are each other's reflection, if you like,
That's absolutely right.
And that's especially if you haven't dealt with all your own stuff. That's not always easy, So Yes,
and so a lot of people, when they meet someone who is the highest version of themselves, which is primarily what you're here to evolve as a soul, you want to find the highest version of who you can be. And a lot of people just aren't ready to have that experience. They don't like that confrontation of, oh, wow, you're bringing up my shadow side and I really don't like what I'm seeing. So as we discussed before, it's seeing it as a gift, seeing those people as, wow, I'm not going to look at the victim side of this. I'm going to look at this is really empowering me and helping me identify what I need to actually learn about myself.
Indeed, yes.
Yes, so it's really cool.
Good. So, Danielle, you're in the process of becoming an author as well, and I do want to speak a bit about that.
Not a problem.
What's the title? Do you have a title for the book yet?
Yeah, so I'm calling it Soulmates, Love in the Dark, and the reason that I'm calling it that, and a lot of people sort of struggle with it because they're like, why does it have to be about the darkness? And the thing is, relationships are about the shadow and the trauma and the betrayals, and that's really what's going on with humanity at the moment, because we are going into these different timelines and we simply are not meant to be of that one person. And so back in the 1800s, for example, we were programmed to be of that one person for life, and that's what the religious beliefs say and what humanity say. Well, when you meet that one person, that's it. And it's causing just so much trauma with people because they're looking outside the marriage because their needs aren't being met anymore. And so that's when affairs are happening and people's sexuality is being shut down. And I'm really here to say quite clearly that this is just not the case anymore, that you are meant to be with multiple people.
It's interesting because the pressures from society to be a certain way, particularly sexually, are quite strong and powerful, which is why we see so many gay people struggle to come out of the closet, as it were, to be honest about their sexuality. So I can imagine that people confronting the system on that level of saying, well, no, it's okay to have multiple partners, is, although it's probably happening more often now, it's still a bit of a challenge for some people, isn't it? Because it doesn't sit well with the so-called fairy tale forever after.
That's right, the romanticism.
White picket fence, yeah.
And that's pretty much what my role is, to get people out of this belief that relationships are about romanticism and ownership. So as a race, we're trying to step out of the 3D relationship, which is very much about trying to control and manipulate that person and that ownership. And it's not what a relationship these days is about at all, as you would know. And just educating people that a lot of what you believe, that you're plugged in to believe, is not anything about you today as a being. Where, you know, for example, I was out to dinner last night, and the man with me was saying the couple stayed together until their son left the family home at age 30, and the moment he left, they got divorced. They said, okay, we're separating. And so even though they weren't happy in that marriage for so long, they decided that they were going to wait until that child had finally left. And I couldn't believe it. I thought, why do so many people want to stay in relationships because of just the children?
I know I've always had a bit of an issue with that myself. Through personal experience, I've always felt that it was better for the child to see, or children to see, two happy parents single rather than two parents that are not happy together, because obviously that's got to be having an influence on their development and growing up as an adult as well, being around dysfunctionality like that. But I know a lot of people thought I was wrong when I did that myself years ago. But you're saying that maybe that's actually the right thing to do.
Yeah, and I think that's where humanity was struggled the most, because I see thousands of people, Steve. You know, this is what I specialise in, and the amount of people that stay plugged into, I've got to stay for the sake of the kids or the finances and holding the family together, which of course I validate and honour that. And if you're not ready to leave a relationship, you know, that is stifling your spiritual growth. You're not able to as a soul evolve. It's causing a lot of pain, and that's what I'm here to do for people, just to give you that permission and validation that you need to start listening to your true feelings, because you'll start to get very depressed and not understand what's actually going on. You've actually outgrown that relationship, and you really can't just stay there for the sake of the kids, because again, when we go into contracts, these kids on a level chose you as parents and knew that you were going to be separated, and are aware of that. They need that for their growth too.
Yes, it's interesting that we're really having to let go of tradition here.
That's right.
and look at what's best for us in the here and now.
As a soul.
Right?
As a soul. And a lot of people see it as being very selfish. But the problem is that usually one person in the relationship is looking outside that relationship and wanting to learn about themselves. And if that other person is unawakened, and they're not willing to do that inner work, it just causes this massive gap. And then they start to become very emotionally disconnected from themselves. And then that's when a lot of the health problems are starting up as well, especially when we look at prostate cancer and colon cancer and things like that, which is very much linked to our sacral chakra, that we can sort of talk about if you'd like.
Yes, please do, yeah. Because I was talking to you before we went on camera before, and you were talking about blockages in the sacral chakra. I think it's an important subject, yeah.
Yeah, so basically our bodies are made up of energy, and we have our chakra systems running down our body, and our sacral chakra is where we hold the way that we relate to people in relationships and where we play out our power games. So our sacral chakra is very much linked to the male and female genitals. We've got our colon and we've got our bladder, all associated with that particular chakra. And when that becomes stagnant and blocked, it can cause things like prostate cancer, obviously being number one in Australia right now for men with health problems. So if men aren't having that energy flowing and they're not healing via their sacral chakra, yes, it's becoming a big problem, Steve.
Fascinating, because as we know, when energy isn't flowing, when it's blocked, it creates disease, thus cancer.
Yeah.
In these cases, fascinating.
Yeah. And so what's happening is, Steve, that women heal via their heart chakra, and so if their needs aren't being met by their partner, they're not feeling validated or heard, and they will shut their heart. They will start to disconnect sexually and play out these games with their partners where they don't want to touch them and they don't want to interact sexually with them. And because this is your life force energy, if they are feeling rejected or projected a lot of blame and guilt and hurt, that's where men heal. And so if they're not being touched, if they're not being nurtured, once that gets blocked, it causes aggression, suppressed energy, it affects their work life. It's their whole creative force for men especially. So, yeah, I'm just seeing it a lot in relationships,
So, without giving everything away, because obviously every case is individual, how does one start to try and broach that? Like, do you work from the perspective of, no, this is broken, let's just start again somewhere else, or do you actually work at trying to fix it?
Yeah, so I do a lot of work with couples, absolutely, and I just show them what's actually going on, the dynamics in the relationship, and find a way to just bring the couple back together to emotionally connect. So I'm not out there sort of saying every person needs to break up with their partner. I'm not about that. It's more just educating people about what a contract is. Has it expiry date reached its use by date, which is what's happening. So sometimes we've only agreed to be with that person, to have the children, stay with that being for 12, 14 years, sometimes less, and then they're meant to move on and they're allocated another soul partner who's going to be best suited for their growth. Yeah, so I look at the contracts and I can say, okay, now if you are willing to do this, then there's more of a chance that you can stay with that person. So you've always got free will to decide if you are going to stay with that person or not, but I'm very much here to help men especially just find ways of making sure that energy is still flowing and that they can express their emotions to their partner, because obviously a lot of it is to do with communication, and if they can't communicate what they need, then they will start to look elsewhere. And porn especially is a massive addiction for men, even in relationships. It desensitizes their sexuality because they're coming from their mental mind and they're not connecting into their emotions. So I'm really getting out there to educate men especially.
And from what I understand, not that I'm an expert on porn, but porn isn't about connecting with people on the spiritual level, is it? You know?
No, it's actually very dangerous, because a lot of teenage boys are learning about sexuality via porn, and so they're getting very distorted views of what connecting sexually is, and women are getting, especially 15, 16-year-old girls are just really getting traumatized because these men are thinking, oh, this is how you connect to a woman, by what they're learning. So it's a really big problem. It's starting very, very young.
So these are all areas that are covered in the book, no doubt.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
And I imagine the book will also take you on a bit of a journey to a place where there's greater understanding and possibly healing for people as well.
Yeah, so basically the book for me is educating people about what a relationship should look like in these new timelines. So getting away from that real karma that you've come through with. So these timelines we're in now is a really karmic period where we're here to just really deal with our stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So I see a lot of people who act out those same roles when they meet those soulmates, and I do it myself. I've met soulmates, and I find myself talking to them in a certain way and acting a certain way, and I'm like, where's this coming from? Like, I've only known you a week. Do you know what I mean? And so people who've been in long-term relationships, they do play out these mind games and control, and they just don't understand it. They're like, I don't understand why I'm not trusting this person. It doesn't make sense to me. And I take them back into where they got set up, where their partner may have been part of a harem and had all these different women, and they always sort of say to that person, I feel like you're doing something behind my back, but it's just that cellular memory that they're actually just trying to work through it and balance it. And then if that relationship just is not able to be healed, I'm very much about, as soon as it turns into any kind of abuse, you have free will to get out of that relationship. Any relationship that is disempowering you, that is traumatizing you as well, you don't have to stay there. It doesn't matter if there's kids in the equation. It's about you learning about self-love and self-worth in this lifetime, and knowing that there's another person allocated for you. Like, so many people are afraid to leave the relationship because they are scared of letting go and what's actually on the other side.
What if I don't meet someone else or whatever,
I'm only going to have this feeling with this one person. And I hear so many people say to me, I only believe there's that one soulmate. And I'm like, no, there is literally 72 on earth, and there's other soul people that you've been with in other lifetimes as well. I do believe there's only the one twin flame. I really have a belief that when there is just one higher version of you who's the opposite polarity, that's absolutely truth. But at the same time, apart from you two, most people that I've met who have met a twin flame, they are just not ready to hold that vibration, and it just ends very, very badly, and it scars them, and they can't open up to other people for a long time until that's resolved and healed. Yeah, I see it a lot.
So it's like the ultimate challenge then.
Oh, that's the ultimate challenge, and everyone's like, I want to meet my twin flame, and it's very much put out there in society that anything less than your twin flame is not worthy. Most people aren't just ready for the twin flame, and we're getting there as a race. We really are, and a lot of people are connecting with their twin flames a lot more now and really trying to hold that space. But there's a lot of people that just haven't worked with their childhood wounding.
Is it sort of like a bit of a twisted sense of morality that we have, that we always have to have like the ultimate thing, or
that's right,
the ultimate sex, or the ultimate lover, or the ultimate twin flame? Whereas in reality, maybe you're not here to experience that. Maybe you're here just to have a really good soulmate connection, or to have half ultimate because that's still okay, or whatever,
That's
like
exactly
ultimate doesn't necessarily mean it's right, does it?
That's what I really wanted to put that message out there today. We believe we are ready for that, but so many people are sitting in childhood traumas that they just haven't dealt with it at all. They're very busy. You're working 9 to 5 jobs, and then you've got your family, and you're trying to please everyone. And you just don't have time to sit there and deal with your rejection and your abandonment wounding and the stuff that you experienced as a child. And so you create those people to try to show you those parts that need to be dealt with. And most people don't want to know about it. They believe relationships should just be full of joy and happiness and peace. They don't want to deal with chaos. And yet those souls that come in to help them with their wounding, they just push them away because it's like, I can't look at this. I just want to come home, relax. I don't want to have a nagging wife.
Or a nagging husband.
That's
or whatever
right.
the case may be.
That's right. So at the end of the day, people don't want to deal with their stuff. So I feel that where humanity is as a race now is probably better off just with that beautiful soulmate who validates them and wants them to be the best version of themselves without triggering all that wounding all the time.
Well, hopefully this upcoming book will help immense amounts of people realise this for themselves and help them get back onto the right path there. Any idea of when the book may be available? I know you're still in the writing phase.
Yes, I'm still trying to finish it. The date keeps changing, but I really like it to be finished by November. So hopefully a Christmas present for everyone.
Well, as soon as it's out, we'll obviously talk to you again, and we
Yes.
will let everyone here know when the book's available as well.
Fantastic.
In the meantime, if people want to contact you, maybe if they've got some relationship issues they'd like to talk to you about,
Sure.
how can they best do that?
Okay, so you can either get onto my Facebook page, which is Daniela Birch International Psychic Medium. Yeah, and my blog is danielebirch.wordpress.com, and all information is on there. You can read about my work, what I do. New website coming out, but the blog's got everything you need.
And of course, we'll have all those links on the Soul to Soul Facebook page and the soultosoulonline.com. Danielle, thank you so much for coming in and meeting us today. It's been fantastic having you here.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Patricia and Steve. Thank you.
Our pleasure. All the best for the book too.
Thank you.